This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, plus special features and reports with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
Good afternoon. Thanks for checking in. First stop, Capitol Hill.
We're opening up our country. Should have never been closed. Should have never been closed.
President Trump rallying House Republicans today as Congress gets set to vote to end the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. The big question, are the votes there? Reporter Ryan Nobles.
Republican leaders are confident the votes are there to end this shutdown tonight, but it is no guarantee. 435 House members are rushing back to Washington to get back in time to vote.
Democratic Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries vows to hold Republicans' feet to the fire when it comes to reining in healthcare costs, something they promised to do by next month.
At the end of the day, the fight lives on.
The GOP can only afford to lose 2 votes today if every Democrat votes no on the spending package. The House bill will fund SNAP benefits through the end of next September and provide back pay to furloughed federal workers. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said today this shutdown has cost the U.S. economy up to $14 billion in lost productivity. Gridlock still at the nation's airports because of the shutdown. Experts caution if a deal is reached, it will still take a while before flights resume their normal operations. NBC's Tom Costello is at Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C.
Here's the good news. Air traffic control staffing levels have improved over the last 48 hours. However, if the House doesn't pass this agreement to reopen the government, then the Trump administration is warning Thanksgiving travel itself could be in jeopardy.
The FAA could still cut flights by 10% by Friday. Already some 10,000 flights have been canceled since last Friday.
You might have airlines that say, we're going to ground our planes. We're not going to fly anymore. That's how serious this is.
That's Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. He says air traffic controllers will start getting paid within 48 hours of the government shutdown ending. Until then, long lines, delays, and cancellations are frustrating many passengers.
I don't trust any airports. I don't trust any of this stuff anymore. I have totally lost faith.
All I'm saying is, from a flight attendant, don't fly. Don't fly. If you can take a train, take a car, do that. Don't fly.
31 million of us are expected to fly over the Thanksgiving holiday. Air traffic controllers and TSA agents have gone more than a month now without a paycheck. Big news out of the Keystone State today. 4.5 months past the due date, the budget standoff looks to be finally ending in Pennsylvania. Let's head to Harrisburg for the very latest.
Sources tell ABC 27 News that a budget deal has been reached. We're told it's a $50 billion bill. Now that's about $2.3 billion more than last year's budget. Lawmakers are expected to vote on the bill in the next couple of days.
Kaylee Schmidt with ABC 27 in Harrisburg says the deal pulls Pennsylvania from the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, or RGGI for short. That controversial climate control measure forces states to curb their carbon dioxide emissions. The average age of a first-time home buyer in this country has reached a new all-time high. Not until the age of 40 are you and I purchasing our first home on average in these United States. The average price for an existing home currently stands at $415,000. That's up more than 50% since 5 years ago. Talking education next. A new report from the American Parents Coalition shows the country's largest teachers unions are pushing dangerous agendas in the classroom.
They have long forgotten the importance of education, teaching students to read and do math, and they've been focusing focusing on nothing but radical ideology the last several decades.
That's Tina Diskovich with Moms for Liberty.
You would think after COVID, with students being back in the classroom, that scores would be increasing, but still only a third of American fourth graders can read. Recent scores that have come out in civics and American history have shown us that only 22% of high school graduates can actually pass a civics test, and only 20% of high school seniors can name 3 basic facts about American history.
Diskovich says the big teachers unions, the NEA and the AFT, have invested hundreds of millions of dollars in woke organizations and far-left causes at a time when U.S. test scores are at an all-time low. The U.S. continues to beef up its military presence in Latin America. The Trump administration is trying to put narco-terrorists from Colombia and Venezuela out of business. Correspondent Charlie D'Agata with CBS News.
The Navy tells us the largest and most sophisticated warship in the world, the USS Gerald R. Ford, is now under command of those in charge of America's most active military zone. It's there to support President Trump's campaign to, quote, dismantle transnational criminal organizations and counter narco-terrorism. For months, the U.S. has been ramping up attacks on alleged drug traffickers, destroying at least 19 vessels in the Caribbean, at least 76 that we know of. The carrier and its destroyers, they're just adding to that massive buildup already deployed in the Caribbean, a show of force not seen there in decades.
That's Charlie D'Agata with CBS News. The International Olympic Committee, the IOC, is inching closer to an outright ban on transgender athletes at the 2028 Summer Olympics. Those Olympic Games will be held in Los Angeles.
You're waiting for the adults in the room to do the right thing. Well, the IOC really is the biggest adult in the room. It definitely sets a really great precedent for all sports at the Olympic level or elite level, or even elementary school students who are facing this firsthand across this globe.
Former NCAA Division I swimmer Paula Scanlon.
The United States of America gets to host the Olympics in 2028, and I'm sure Trump would not have allowed transgender athletes to compete, so I think that they're definitely trying to get ahead of it. The majority of people agree men do not deserve to play in women's sports.
The IOC says scientific evidence shows there are physical advantages to being born a male, which remain with an athlete even after that athlete tries to change their gender. NASA hopes to launch 2 Mars probes this afternoon. That launch will happen at Cape Canaveral, weather permitting. The twin probes are designed to orbit the red planet and study the Martian atmosphere. The next launch window will open up shortly before 3 p.m. along Florida's Space Coast. Still to come on the Noon Report, a midweek edition, closing in on a deal in Harrisburg, baby formula recall, and SU's new school for digital entrepreneurs.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams, calling for some brisk and chilly conditions over the next couple days and nights. Lots of clouds. There'll be a few scattered rain and snow showers in the air as well. I'll be back with forecast details in 10 minutes.
All right, Kevin, we'll see you then, checking the stories making news where you live. Better late than never. The 135-day late Pennsylvania state budget is nearing completion. Lawmakers last night appeared close to a deal on a $50 billion spending plan. Kevin Busher with the State School Boards Association says the budget can't come soon enough for struggling school districts.
We've heard from school districts that are saying that start January, they might not be able to open doors. The closure of this budget, I hope, transfers into a conversation about how to make sure we don't do this year after year.
The tentative deal is about $1.5 billion less than the original budget blueprint pitched by the governor. It's about $2.5 billion more than last year's spending plan. And the deal will pull Pennsylvania from a controversial climate change pact known as RGGI, the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. That was something Republicans desperately wanted. Both the New York and Pennsylvania health departments are alerting parents today about an expanded recall of baby formula. All By Heart Whole Nutrition formula is being pulled off store shelves after a dozen states, including Pennsylvania, reported outbreaks of botulism. So far, 15 infants have been sickened by the botulism botulism, which can be fatal if not treated. There's more information about the infant formula recall on the FDA's website. A Pennsylvania politician thinks Congress needs to go back to the drawing board when it comes to reining in health care costs in this country.
We need to do something on health care that brings costs down and makes access more affordable. The answer is not the Affordable Care Act. If it was, the Democrats wouldn't have had to bail out the Affordable Care Act during COVID.
That's Republican Representative Glenn Thompson. He tells Family Life News.
We have to find practical solutions that bring down the cost of health care and increase access in the form of a health savings account. And as consumers, they have leverage of where they can shop. You know, right now, people that provide you health care also sell you your health insurance, and they limit where you can get your care.
Lawmakers are expected to revamp Obamacare next month, sometime in December, after voting today to reopen the government. With colder weather on the way, energy experts are out with some ways to get you more bang for your buck when it comes to home heating costs. Kevin Williams, not that Kevin Williams, this Kevin Williams works at National Grid. He says every degree that you can turn down your thermostat, well, that can save you up to 3% on your heating bills.
Most of the time it's between 70 to 72 degrees. Some people, depending on if you have a humidifier, it could be maybe around 68 to 70 degrees, because when you have a humidifier, it actually keeps the air feeling warmer because there's moisture in the air, which will actually make lower temperatures feel like higher temperatures.
Williams says changing your furnace filters and making sure all your windows and doors are tightly sealed will also save you money in the long run. RG&E, NYSEG, and National Grid all plan to raise utility rates this winter. Getting a speeding ticket can really cost you more in Pennsylvania. Family Life's Brian Query tells us how much more.
A new study from finance company LendingTree finds that drivers in Pennsylvania who go up to 15 miles per hour over the speed limit see their insurance rates jump an average of 26.6%, or about $566 a year. That ranks 9th highest in the nation. The state also adds 3 points to your license for that infraction. Younger drivers see even bigger hikes, as much as $1,200 annually. New York ranked near the bottom in terms of rate increases, with drivers seeing an average increase of 13.4% for speeding violations. Brian Query, Family Life News.
All right, Brian, thank you for that. 7 in 10 teens today, 70% of teenagers will visit YouTube sometime today, and one major educational institution in central New York wants to capitalize on that phenomenon. Syracuse University is building a new school to help students create content for the digital age and cash in on it. Mark Lodato with the Newhouse School of Communication.
This is something that was overdue in our country, and we're glad to have the leading position and be able to bring these opportunities to our students.
Mike Haney, the executive dean of SU's Whitman School of Business, says social influencers can make a lot of money online.
The center is really going to focus on this emerging transformative ecosystem of creators and artists who are essentially building their own brand on social media platforms and monetizing that brand for their own benefit.
How about that? Combining business and journalism. This so-called Center for the Creator Economy will open next spring at Syracuse University. Here's to your health. A new study out today suggests weight training may actually help you lose more weight than running alone. Scientists at Virginia Tech came to that conclusion after learning that blood sugar levels were lower in people who engaged in anaerobic exercise, like lifting weights, versus aerobic exercise, which involves running alone, or cardio, as they call it. We've got sports next, the 2-minute drill on the Family Life Noon Report.
Good afternoon, I'm Randy Snavely. Bob, I think the Knicks are wishing they could play all of their games at Madison Square Garden. They remained undefeated there last night, knocking off the Grizzlies 133 to 120. Jalen Brunson scored 32 points and handed out 10 assists. Karl Anthony Towns went for 21 and 13 boards, and 4 other Knicks scored in double figures as well. New York has won 5 straight. They are now 7-3. Kelly Oubre Jr. scored the go-ahead put-back bucket with 8 seconds to play, and Philadelphia's defense forced a half-court heave at the end of the game. It did not go in, and the Sixers edged the Celtics 102-100. Justin Edwards came off the bench to lead Philly with 22 points. Toronto has now won 5 of their last 6 games after their 119-109 win in Brooklyn. Elsewhere, the Thunder, Jazz, and Nuggets were your victors. On the ice, the Bruins beat the Leafs 5-3. LA a 5-1 winner over Montreal. The Stars won in overtime over Ottawa 3-2. Caps 4, Canes 1. The Blues edged the Flames 3-2. The Wild lost in overtime 2-1 to the Sharks. Colorado skated past Anaheim 4-1. The Jets 5, Canucks 3. And in a shootout, the Blue Jackets took a 2-1 victory over Seattle. And one other note, this coming from the world of Major League Baseball. They handed out their Managers of the Year awards in the National League. Pat Murphy of the Brewers, and in the American League, Stephen Vogt of the Guardians. Congratulations to them. That is a look at sports.
All right, both teams had great seasons. Thank you, Randy. And still to come on the Noon Report, a midweek edition. House votes to end shutdown. Air travel chaos continues, and some tips to reduce your holiday stress.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. Albert Einstein famously defined insanity as doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. For the past few decades now, marriage rates have been plummeting. Those who are getting married are doing so much later in life. The entire Western world, including the United States, is facing an unprecedented birth dearth. And yet, many Christians and many churches, including those who believe marriage is a created gift of God and a pillar of civilization, are doing nothing different to elevate marriage and family in the hearts and minds of young people. This is an example of what Einstein called insanity. Perhaps we could learn from a group of Chinese retirees who were recently covered in the Wall Street Journal. Apparently, each weekend, in an ongoing effort to play matchmaker for their older children, these parents meet at a park known as the marriage market with photos and achievement stats of their kids. The goal is to help them find a spouse. Now, the kids do not seem as concerned as their parents do. A 33-year-old single said, quote, "My parents are more anxious than I am." But the problem is, the parents should be. According to the article, in this country of over 1 billion people, only 6 million couples registered their marriages in 2024. This is a record low number, down 21% from just the previous year. And it's another consequence of the one-child policy that China enforced for decades. Now, America is likely not ready for arranged marriages. Most people will not find marrying to save the economy a romantic enough notion. However, our young adults still need help in the relationship department too. First and foremost, they need help understanding what marriage is. The Bible describes it as a cornerstone of adulthood and of society. But many young adults view it as more of a capstone, something personal to be tended to once everything else in life is accomplished. Christ calls the church his bride, portraying marriage as a metaphor of eternal truth. But Hollywood and lifestyle magazines portray it as a burden, an obstacle to true personal fulfillment. God created us for family, but especially young women have been widely told that unencumbered sexual freedom is the real path to fulfillment. Another challenge is that young adults who are considering marriage often never turn to parents or pastors for guidance, but instead rely on apps. According to a 2023 Pew Research study, 30% of adults said they had used a dating app. 53% of those adults were age 18 to 29. 50% of college students said they used an app to find a date, and that's in college, the place in which young adults are face-to-face with more like-minded, similar-age peers than at any other time in their lives. And at least according to one article covering dating trends on campuses, dating apps have ruined romance. This could be the church's moment to save marriage, but it will require that we break dramatically from social norms, that we embrace the awkwardness inherent in such things, and reject the narrative of self-centeredness. In short, we're going to have to be, well, weird. And that's because many young adults simply lack the worldview categories to grasp what it means that marriage is good. inundated at every turn to look inside concepts like sacrificial love or statements like a central purpose of marriage is to have babies simply sound bizarre to them. We have to make them normal again. In short, young adults need to hear from someone other than Charlie Kirk that marriage and babies are good gifts of God to us. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint.
All right, John, thank you much. Outside next, Kevin Williams.
Here is your family life weather forecast for this afternoon. Generally cloudy, a few rain and snow showers around, more raindrops and snowflakes where they occur. High temperatures, lower 40s. Tonight and tomorrow, scattered rain and snow showers, low temperatures tonight 30s, with high temperatures tomorrow into the 40s. On Friday, mostly cloudy, a couple of showers, some wet flakes across central New York high ground, and the temperatures on Friday peaking in the low to mid 40s.
Thank you, Kevin Williams. This is the Noon Report. I'm your host, Bob Price, and here's what's happening Wednesday, November 12th. The longest government shutdown in U.S. history could be over with by the end of the day. Congress reconvenes this afternoon to take up a funding bill that will get Uncle Sam back in business. Oklahoma Republican Tom Cole says it should have never come to this.
All the difficulty Americans have endured in these past 6 weeks could have and should have been avoided.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries tried but failed to add an amendment to the spending package that addressed the Democrats' main concern.
Health care for people all across this country is on the brink of becoming unaffordable.
Republicans have promised to take up health care reforms once the government is reopened again. The spending package being voted on today would fund the government through the end of January. The FAA expected to continue cutting flights as it works to clear backlogs that resulted from this gridlock on Capitol Hill.
Even with a potential end to the government shutdown in sight, Day 42 brought plenty of flyer uncertainty. Persistent FAA sick calls led to a bruising stretch for travelers that saw close to 40,000 delays and nearly 10,000 cancellations since Friday.
Aviation consultant Chris Van Cleve. A Pennsylvania budget deal is near, albeit about 135 days past the due date. The $50 billion spending package pulls the Keystone State out of RGGI, a controversial climate change initiative. Lawmakers in Harrisburg expected to finalize the spending plan over the next couple of days. By Heart, the maker of organic baby formula, has now recalled all of its products sold all over the country. It comes amid a growing outbreak of infant botulism. At least 15 babies have been hospitalized in a dozen states. The Justice Department is investigating a violent protest Monday at UC Berkeley. It happened during a Turning Point USA event.
At least one bloody fistfight broke out after dozens of protesters arrived at the sold-out event put on by the group founded by the late Charlie Kirk. Scuffles also broke out between some of the protesters and police. At least 4 people were arrested. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon says the Justice Department is investigating the security on the campus. She referred to the protesters as Antifa, which she called an existential threat to the nation.
Unionized Starbucks baristas are planning to strike tomorrow.
The action coincides with the coffee giant's popular Red Cup Day. The union, representing around 550 stores, accuses Starbucks of refusing to fairly negotiate and has rejected the company's previous proposal. Starbucks claims it already offers competitive pay and benefits and is ready to negotiate if the union returns to the table. The strike could expand if no progress is made, with union members pledging to continue escalating actions if needed. I'm Monica Nelson.
Several grassroots groups are calling for a nationwide boycott of Black Friday.
The National Retail Federation says this year's holiday sales are expected to pass $1 trillion for the first time. Now, a coalition of groups are urging consumers to stop all spending on Black Friday and Cyber Monday to protest economic inequality in the U.S. The groups, including Blackout the System and the Money Out of Politics movement, are also calling on shoppers to cancel digital subscriptions during the boycott, which runs from November 25th through December the 2nd. Small Business Saturday is exempt from the boycott. I'm Mark Mayfield.
A U.S. tariff may be imposed soon on a favorite food imported from Italy. Reporter Jennifer Kuiper on the possibility of there being soon pricier pasta.
It could have you saying Mamma Mia. The Trump administration is considering a new import duty on 13 of Italy's largest pasta exporters. The total taxes could rise 107%. Some Italian pasta companies are warning they could stop exporting the products to the U.S. NYU economics professor Joseph Foudy.
Once you see about 10% of the market disappear, the remaining firms have an easy excuse to raise prices.
The Trump administration says the higher tariffs on Italian pasta is just a proposal. No final decision's been made. You're plugged into the Noon Report, a Wednesday edition on Family Life.
High hopes for the holidays. Welcome back to another edition of Real Answers, a regular Wednesday feature during the Family Life Noon Report, where we discuss the issues that matter to families with licensed mental health counselor Christopher Anderson. Welcome back, Chris.
Thanks, Mark. Good to be back.
Always great to have you in the house here, and hard to believe it, but here we are again.
Ready? I give you the Griswold family Christmas tree. Looks great. Little full, a lot of sap.
Snow on the ground in a lot of places. It's seemingly been Christmas in the stores since September. And the annual build-up to Thanksgiving and Christmas about to shift into high gear. But inevitably, that build-up can lead to a big letdown for some.
Absolutely. And, this is the time of the year when I really think we need to stop and ask ourselves what is really necessary and what have we been promising ourselves year after year that we're going to do differently, because now's the time to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the time of year that's supposed to be full of joy, but for some, it can bring some big hurts, too. People mourning lost loved ones or divorce, anytime that they might associate with this time of year, it just kind of amplifies that, doesn't it?
It does, and especially at times that we're bombarded with messages of the holidays, like you mentioned a moment ago, from retailers and from the Hallmark Channel and everybody else in between there. And especially, again, like you mentioned, when we have loss or some big change in life that is hard to deal with, that makes it particularly difficult.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, as we touched on, another issue this time of year can be self-imposed stress. I have one good friend who's already up to the mass gift wrapping stage. I don't know how she pulls that off, but beyond travel, there's getting together with relatives you might not see eye to eye on. All of that can kind of add up to a holiday headache.
It sure can. And again, it's really a combination of factors that come together, and it's expectations that are unrealistic, or it's not only of ourselves, but of other people. It's expectations of our society. And quite honestly, it's maybe not taking the time to give some serious consideration about those things that we told ourselves we'd do differently. And quite honestly, Mark, believe it or not, right after we're done recording right now, I will actually be finishing putting up some Christmas lights early. Wow. So I'm taking my own advice here today, that's for sure.
Well done. I haven't even touched mine yet. One suggestion I saw recommended that along with a holiday to-do list, you make yourself a don't list. Items like not feeling you have to have a perfectly clean house, baking enough cookies for an army regiment, just over-obligating yourself to so many different things.
Sure. That's a great idea, actually, a holiday don't list. But I think really sitting down and say, what do I really want to make sure I incorporate into my celebration? And then what, like you said, what don't I want to incorporate? And then those things that you want to do, don't wait to the last minute. Sit down, get a calendar out, plan things out, look at when you've got some free time. And I know that's asking a lot, for a lot of folks. But when do you have that free time that you can, let's say, for example, the next day we have in the 50s, and I think it's coming up here in the next week or two. Please. Can you get up and put stuff up outside instead of waiting until it's another snowstorm in early December to get out and put up decorations? Starting it early, planning it out so it's on your calendar and not procrastinating. I mean, that's a big one right there. Procrastinating, waiting to the last minute. That's when you end up regretting how you progress through yet another holiday year of stress, forgetting things, not doing things, or doing too much, and again, making another set of promises that you will not do it again the following year. So now is the time to sit down and give careful consideration and planning.
Yeah, listen to your old self, ignoring history, condemned to repeat it. I guess a key here, when we get down to the bottom line, is keeping focused on the true reason for the season, both Thanksgiving and Christmas, and it's not about going crazy.
Absolutely, and knowing a lot of churches have a holiday program or they have holiday gatherings or other holiday activities for Christmas is a good way to connect with other people. If you want to have smaller gatherings of, let's say, at your own place, doing that, looking at a time when your ability to do so is not going to stress you out as the holiday itself gets closer, as Christmas gets closer. And so, like I said, I think pre-planning is a good way to do it. I mean, writing stuff down to remind yourself not to engage in certain things too. Again, you mentioned somebody at the beginning, high gear into wrapping presents already. Sure, why not go through it all right now? Go out. I mean, of course, people wait till Black Friday, but you know what? There's plenty of early deals out there. Get out there. And more importantly, focus on what are you going to do to give this year, and give to others instead of buying all for your own family. What can you do again to teach your family that this is a time of giving, not just a time to expect and to receive? And I know with little kids, and I got 2 of them, it's hard, but it's a really important lesson.
Good stuff there. You've been listening to Real Answers, a Wednesday feature of the Family Life Noon Report, where we discuss the issues important to families with licensed mental health counselor Christopher Anderson. Thanks again, Chris.
Absolutely, Mark. Thank you.
All right, guys, great show today. You can listen back to all our Real Answers podcasts online as well. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or FamilyLife.org.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. A brisk westerly airflow will keep our air chilly these next couple days and nights. Not as chilly as it has been, but chilly nevertheless. Rain and snow showers off the lakes will result, but nothing particularly notable, as temperatures will be above freezing much of the time. For this afternoon, generally cloudy. A few rain and snow showers around. More raindrops than snowflakes where they occur. High temperatures, lower 40s. Tonight and tomorrow, scattered rain and snow showers. Low temperatures tonight 30s, with high temperatures tomorrow into the 40s. On Friday, mostly cloudy, couple of showers, some wet flakes across central New York high ground, and the temperatures on Friday peaking in the low to mid 40s.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Finally today, some heavy hitters are headed to the Vatican.
Promise me you'll find your way home.
Pope Leo has invited filmmakers like Mad Max director George Miller, Spike Lee, and actors Cate Blanchett, Adam Scott, and Viggo Mortensen to a meeting Saturday. The Vatican says the pontiff wants to explore possibilities for using artistic creativity to promote the mission of the church and human values. The Vatican's also shared the Chicago natives' favorite films. Among them, The Sound of Music, It's a Wonderful Life, Ordinary People, and Life is Beautiful.
Correspondent Deborah Rodriguez, the 70-year-old Pope, recently told Variety magazine his all-time favorite movie is that 1946 Christmas classic, It's a Wonderful Life. Hard to argue against that one. And that's our world, the world we live in. Wednesday, November 12th. I'm Bob Price. Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at FamilyLife.org.